Welcome back, everybody, to Culz Interviews. Today we are diving back into the world of Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters Open for Business. Our guest, Nicole, was one of the actors in the film, so this is pretty exciting. Nicole, how are you doing today?
I'm amazing actually. I love this weather that we're having. Like we're cooling down, getting into the fall spooky season, so it's kind of perfect, I think.
Right? Halloween season and Ghostbusters seem to go hand in hand.
Yep.
Well, before we get into the actual Ghostbusters Open for Business, tell me, were you a huge fan of Ghostbusters growing up, or was this something that you kind of just grew into, I guess?
Honestly, a little mix of both. So I watched it with my parents, mostly my dad, and I watched it more in like spurts. I caught pieces here and there, and of course, like the giant marshmallow was just so funny and like my favorite part. So I definitely knew it and had seen it, but I am not the same level of like knowledge of background as a lot of the rest of our cast and crew are. That has obviously grown doing this, but in the beginning I was not on their level of expertise, but the passion was there. So
Right. Well, tell us, where did you get the bug to act? Like, was it a movie or like what drew you into it?
ooh, it sounds super random, but when I was in middle school, they were practicing for some musical at the time, and I just walked by and saw them all. And I was like, oh my gosh, that kind of looks really fun. And I just went over and was like, hey, do you guys need any more people for anything? So kind of just on a whim. Um, and as I grew up, the more I look at it, my family is just we don't take each other too seriously. We're always messing with each other, just having fun. We don't have a whole lot of shame or anything like that. We're just open to enjoying everything. And I think a lot of it kind of spurred from that and just being willing to be silly and just us. So, yeah, it was just kind of random.
Hey, sometimes the best things are kind of random, you kind of just luck into it. We've done that, little trips here and there have turned into some of our biggest adventures. So it definitely happens. And so we've talked to obviously a few of the different actors from the film, and there's all different ways people found their way into it. How did you
Mhm.
get involved with Ghostbusters Open for Business?
Um, yeah, so mine's a little different. I saw the posting for the auditions, but I actually didn't become aware of it until like the second round or like the later round of auditions. So by the time that I actually auditioned, they had already had the primary leads casted. So I went in and I read for some of the smaller parts, like the newscaster, the girl in the beginning that's kind of leaving the hotel and gets possessed, um, the hotel staff member. So I auditioned for literally all of those um, because I knew some of the people a part of it, and I was like, I just want to be a part of this film in some kind of capacity. So I'm fully open to whatever they will allow me to read for. So I read for literally all of those small parts.
No, that's great. And it worked out. You got your part. Now,
Yeah.
to get into character, was there anything you did? Did you read up on anything? Did you watch a certain film and then kind of base your performance off that? Like, how did you get into character?
Well, I definitely rewatched the film, in its entirety instead of just in the pieces like I used to when I was younger. I rewatched the film. I went over the script, and honestly, I'm a big improv person, and I think you guys know like a lot of what's in the film is just improv and our genuine reactions and connections to each other. Um, so with that being the case, I wanted Jazz to be like her own individual person, as much as we take and use as inspiration for this from Ghostbusters. I wanted pieces of it to be our own, if that makes sense. So I just wanted Jazz to be like her complete own person. So honestly, just hanging out with the rest of the cast, watching them interact with each other and see like the relationships they have, being able to figure out like, okay, where can Jazz come in to complement these relationships, also kind of push them a little bit, but in the best way. And then just let it fly organically. Like I said, just using what happens in the connections between us as actors and the characters. Like it just became its own thing and I love it.
Well, can you describe kind of how being on set felt? Like it was one big family, or like how did that go?
Yeah. I know that that's like a super cheesy saying, is that everything feels like one big family. But it really was like even days that some of us weren't needed, or we weren't even filming some of our stuff then, like we just wanted to be there to be a part of it, to help each other out. So it was very supportive. Um, it felt honestly, one of the best ways I can describe it is it felt so free. Like there there was so much space for not only not only the actors but the crew as well to input suggestions, to say like, hey, I have this random idea, I'd love to try this. Like I said, the improv part, Bixby was very, very open to there being differences in some of the lines than what exactly was written. There was just so much freedom and space to make it our own and make it more cohesive and natural that it was just so welcoming. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like it. From the different stories we've been told, it sounded like a really fun set to be on. Now, you
Oh,
filmed at some pretty exciting locations. The hotel being one that, I mean, when we first watched it, because we were doing more of a look into Thomas Fears, and that's how we found Ghostbusters open for business.
oh, that guy's awesome.
Right. Yeah, we found him because we reviewed a Billy the Kid film, and he played Brushy Bill. And then, we found Ghostbusters open for business, and I realized it was in Colorado because it opens up on Colorado Springs, and then it shows Cripple Creek. Do you have a favorite location that you got to visit on the filming?
I mean, I feel like I should say the hotel, because that's a huge big part of it. But honestly, for me personally, the firehouse was one of my favorite places that we got to be, and especially because we got to be there a lot. Um, yeah, firefighters is they're very important in my family and in my husband's, and so just being there felt kind of like, I don't know, not like they were watching, but almost like they were kind of a part of it. So I don't know. For me personally, that was just really cool to be there. And, because part of it was a museum actually. And so getting able to see like their car and all the cool stuff on the wall, like it was just really, really cool. So I, yeah, I really loved, I love that part. And then, I will say one of the most surprising locations that we used was the house that we were in with our lovely our lovely weed ghost, which is honestly still my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. He just cracks me up. I love that little character. That house was also where they had a underground pool underneath the house, like empty, obviously, but we used like that crawl down section in part of the film too. But that was really fascinating. I've never seen anything like that before, like a full, cemented what used to be pool that was underneath the house. So that was just trippy because I've never seen something like that before.
Yeah, no, Sam, I know every time we bring up this one, he always talks about the weed ghost. When
Yeah.
we met Aaron or Johnny in Roswell, that's one of the things he brought up too. He was like, "So who designed that one?" Like,
I love that little guy. He's so funny, just playing with them, which honestly, I think they needed, especially at that point. Like, they're just getting their foot in the door. They're thinking they got this on their own. Like, we can totally do this. So I love that. It shows that they can for the most part, but also shows like, okay, maybe we weren't like fully prepped for anything that can happen. Yeah, just cracks me up every single time I see it.
Right. It's kind of like Slimer in the original film where, they're like, oh, it's kind of a goofy looking thing, and then it just like
Yeah,
gets away and they're like, oh, we just went the wrong way, you know.
right, right, exactly.
Well, the film itself, I know, was shot and then kind of toiled away for a little bit. At that point, like, did you think it was gonna see the light of day, or were you worried about that at all? Like, what are your thoughts there?
Honestly, I was pretty worried. I know it was at no fault to like Bixby and them. I know this is and always will be such an important piece for them. Not only just the story itself, but the whole film and everybody that did so much to be a part of it. So I never fully believed that like it would just completely drop away. Um, but I know they were being very justifiably uh, specific about who they wanted to come in and to help piece everything back together and kind of finish things out. And that the years of time in between it was definitely hard, because we were all so excited about it. But it happens, and honestly, if I could go back, I would want them to do exactly the same thing because like who we ended up, working with and becoming a part of this and actually finishing and putting it together. Like I wouldn't change that for the world, and I have so much respect for them. Um, so it was well worth it, but yeah, it was definitely a little disappointing at first because everyone was just so excited about this whole thing that we were like, man, I feel like it's been forever. Like,
Right. Hey, I mean, it happens with, different types of projects like that. We've been writing a book for maybe a decade at this point, but it just takes time and life gets busy and it's hard at times.
yeah,
But you guys, the film came out and you guys were able to actually have like a premiere that was
yeah.
really well received and there was a really good turnout. This was all homegrown and home like promoted. It wasn't like this big Hollywood production, but a lot of people actually showed up. Like, how did that feel?
Oh, it was so cool. And to see it in that venue space, like that was a really cool space for us to get and for them to be so supportive of this kind of thing. Because like you said, we're not LA or anything like that. But like I said, this everyone was just so proud of this that to have that support from our family, our friends, of course is going to be there and is going to come, but then to have that additional support of like the venue putting it on and so many other people that like had just heard about it or just like Ghostbusters and wanted to come see it. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, no, I watched a few different like snippets from the premiere, and it's always cool to just see people enjoying other people enjoying their work. It's really
Yeah.
fulfilling. Like, what were some like takeaways you got from your performance or your character?
Oh, I mean, that's always tricky because watching yourself is always so weird.
Yeah,
Um, no matter how many times you do it, it's just always so weird. Um, I don't know if this is super appropriate or not, but part of me actually kind of wanted to make it a little bit of a drinking game of just like anytime that I slap Bixby or, get, just give him any kind of crap or, shut any of that down because the slap was not, any of the slaps were not a thing in the script. Like I just playfully did that once and everybody was like, you know what? Like that seems pretty fitting. Wherever you feel like you want to do it, like just do it. So watching it kind of was for me entertaining in that piece because I was like, okay, yeah. So it really did happen a lot. Um, but watching the performance, I liked seeing the relationship between Jazz and other people, not just Bixby, obviously, because that's a big part, but watching like how other people were reacting to me, or how well like me and and Rookie worked together, like seeing that was really cool because that was important to me too. I didn't want it to just be about Bixby and I. Like I wanted Jazz to again like have her own thing, and for that to be with everybody in some kind of capacity. So that was really cool to see. Yeah, just the even sometimes subtle differences, but you can definitely tell like when she's really comfortable with certain people, and when she's really trying to just stay like professional when they're leaving their underwear around or whatever.
Well, so watching the film, is there anything that you would change today that you did?
um Ooh, that's a good question. I really like that question. Um, Honestly, I don't think so. Um, yeah, I don't think so. Just because, like I said, I wanted it to be as organic as possible, and so I think everything that happened just because it felt right when we were filming and we were on set that day, whatever day it was, and um, yeah, I don't think I would do anything different. I This is honestly one of the projects that I am the most proud of. Um, yeah, just all of it, all of it is holds such a special place in my heart. Um, yeah. Now, I would say like I would be very, very interested to see how things would progress and be a little different for future ones. To have like that development in the relationship between them two, and in the team, and how Jazz like really blends with the team instead of being like the, kind of outside one, like helping a little bit. Um, so that part I think would be very, very fun to play with and kind of tweak and change. But yeah, I think for the start of it, I don't think I would change anything.
Well, you kind of mentioned future installments, and I know we've talked to some other people. So, where do you hope your character ends up, or what are some maybe like plot points that you'd like to see explored if, for a future one?
Yeah. I would love to see the shift in the balance a little bit between Jazz and Bix. Um, I would, because I could very much see like now that things are comfortable and familiar and we know each other better, I can very much see Jazz breaking down a lot of those walls, and letting Bix in more, and letting her actually be way more vulnerable than I think she kind of had the opportunity to in the first one. So I think that would be a big piece that I would love to have in there, to be able to, however it's done, show that vulnerability of like a little bit more her loosened up, and more comfortable, and then Bix kind of taking more of the leadership role almost, and like coming into his own, and a lot of growing in his character and in that capacity, because you can tell that's where they were going, and so I would love to see like that more finalized, or just that continuation of them kind of equaling and blending each other out.
Well, and like a sequel mixing the Texas team, right?
Yeah.
Is there anyone from their team that you would really love to share screen with and just like shoot off like quips and lines with and stuff like that?
This sounds really cheesy, but all of them, um, all of them, just because I think it would be so fascinating to not only like get to watch that teamwork and do its thing, but then for Jazz to have that, not struggle, but for Jazz to have that challenge of then refiguring out this team, because every part of the team is so important. They all do different things, like, and so I think it would be really, really interesting and a really fun challenge to then come in and try to, figure out like, again, how to work together with that team, but also how to connect to each of them as their own individuals. So selfishly, all of them would be my answer.
Well, here's another kind of fun one. We kind of experienced it when we were in Roswell with Aaron, having the ecto there. What were people's reactions when they saw the ecto or saw you guys in costume? How was that?
Oh, people loved it. People loved it. I mean, of course, there's some that like had no idea what was going on necessarily, especially if it was like just us in costume, but not the ecto around. Like when we were walking around in Manitou, a lot of people were like, "It's Manitou." But then when they saw like 4 or 5 of us in the same outfit, they're like, "Okay, something's going on." Um, but yeah, anytime like we were all together, we had that, we were on set or even like hadn't started yet, but just on location, people were just so excited. They would cheer and you could tell like they were good hype people. I think we should we should have made them follow us around some more. Because it was just fun. It added kind of like a, you know, that childhood joy, like just such easy happiness and joy. Like people brought that when they would see all the lights go on and we would drive by. And so that was so cool. And all the little kids like waving and getting so excited about the lights. I love that. They're so
Right.
cute.
It's amazing the just stronghold on the public zeitgeist that Ghostbusters has. Because it's
Mhm.
not like it has like 20 films. It has 4
Right.
canonical and the 2016 one. But like people like recognize it like instantaneously. Like
Yeah.
being an actor in the Ghostbusters Open for Business, what is it about Ghostbusters that connects so well with people?
I think it's just so wholesome, like it just there's a lot that's easy to relate to. There's a lot that even if you aren't deep in the nitty gritty, like I wasn't initially, there's so many little things that are easy to connect to. But I think a lot of it just comes back to the whole point, like that this is a team of people that their whole, but like one of their biggest driving forces is to help. And, as people, like we love that. We love when people are there to help. We like being able to help other people. So I think to have something that is so focused on being there to help people and to help people in a fun way, but actually make a difference, I think it just makes it so easy to connect and relate to that it's easy to just have fun and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, like I loved that, or yeah, I remember watching that, or oh my gosh, that car is so cool, even if you don't really even know details of everything.
Well, when we talked about like the ghosts as far as the weed ghosts, like ghosts obviously very important to the Ghostbusters stuff, right? But outside of the weed ghosts, which spook was your favorite?
Cool. Outside of the weed goes, because he's
Yeah.
still my favorite. He just, I don't know, he's his own. He has to be. Um, I feel like I'm going to get in big trouble for saying this, but I got to give credit to Tuttle. Like, I mean, Tuttle came in, was just like going for it. He knew what he wanted. Like, he doesn't take anything from anybody. Um, I'm not saying Tuttle's good, obviously,
I was gonna
but
say it's almost like Jazz is teasing a heel turn now. We're gonna
right. I mean, I admire the passion that Tuttle that Tuttle had, the wrong intentions and the wrong purpose, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I did appreciate that. Tuttle was his own person. There was no doubt of like what was going on. There was no wavering. Like, I think that having him set in that way, I think that really helped then kind of complement the other ones too, like the weed ghost who who's more fun and light. So I think having that balance made it fun, but it also made it interesting too then for us to have Tuttle as our own challenge, because he's a way harder challenge. Obviously, he's a bigger thing that we have to figure out and piece together. And so I think that really sparked my interest, because it went into like detective mode almost, trying to figure out how do we break him down and figure it out. So yeah, so I appreciate Tuttle, but I won't say he's I won't say he's my favorite, but I do. There's a lot I do appreciate about it. I think it did a lot.
Well, see, it is spooky season, Halloween season. Growing up, what were your thoughts on like ghosts? Like, did you hear a lot of these stories, or did you see stuff on TV? Like, were you freaked out? Like, how did that go on?
So so my dad is not afraid of anything ever. Um, so our father-daughter bonding time was watching scary movies and going to haunted houses and all that kind of stuff. So growing up, like I became very accustomed, sounds bad, but but kind of, like we watched all these movies, and so it kind of took away the scary element for me, and it was more a piece of just appreciation. I thought everything that goes into like these films and in haunted houses and stuff, I was fascinated by. I thought it was really cool. I actually worked in a haunted house for a few years, so that was interesting too. So I love the spooky season, and I can just it takes a lot for a scary movie to actually scare me, but I can at least appreciate it, especially when it's a unique story and something we haven't heard before. So I don't know. I just already had an appreciation for that kind of thing. And um, although I haven't personally had any extreme or, really defining moment of like ghost experiences, I've always been really open to the idea. Like I would definitely like to, and I've done like ghost tours, and so yeah, to be able to even like somewhat connect that into Ghostbusters was so cool. I was so excited.
Well, so people, around this time of year, they're looking for movies to watch. What are your like three go-tos for the spooky season?
Ooh, Ghostbusters, Open Forbidden. No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely 1A right there.
Right, yeah. Just gotta plug it. No, I I would say Insidious is one of mine. Honestly, that I think was one of the not new but newer-ish ones that after watching it, I was like, that is a very unique idea. Like we have yet to see something like that. So I was really blown away just by the presence of that one, because it was something so different that we hadn't seen. Um, and then on the opposite end, like honestly, the original Ghostbusters, and that probably is biased just because, like I said, I remember watching that so much growing up, that I think it's spooky enough. It definitely has its own pieces, different kind of spooky. So I would say Ghostbusters. The original is also in there. Let me see a third. My husband is not a big scary movie fan, so that's really not too much um, in our household these days. That's more so when it's just me, like if he's doing something else. Um, I might have to get back to you about a third.
Are you like big into film then, like being an actress, or like how much do you consume like film as a medium?
Honestly, quite a bit. My husband and I, we go to the movies all the time. That's like one of our go-to date night things. Is it's just easy, but it's fun to see like what's out there and what people are doing, and go laugh or go cry, or sometimes I can convince him to go to like a thriller. Um, so that's always kind of funny too, for me anyway. Uh, um, but yeah, so we go quite a bit, honestly. I really love acting in films. Um, I used to do theater and plays. I still kind of do a little bit, but not necessarily. Film is definitely more where my passion is. Yeah, so anything in that world and in that process, I'm always for.
Well, outside of film, like what are some of your other interests? Like what other hobbies do you have?
Yeah. Uh, this is going to be a big surprise, but acting is is a lot of what I do. So I work for a company called Anyone Not Ready, and we do medical trainings for military groups primarily. Doesn't have to be that specifically, but we do medical trainings to help improve their medicine to go for them to be able to go out and help save lives. And so I get to act as a patient for these trainings, and I do a lot of that, and it is just so rewarding to be able to use any kind of skills that I have, or anything that I can to be helpful in that capacity, and to see them grow and know that like this is something they're actually going to get to go use while they're out there to go save people is just amazing. So that has been kind of what I'm doing a lot of the time. It's work technically, but honestly, to me, it's just my passion. To be able to use my acting in that kind of way is so rewarding. So that's kind of what takes up a good portion of my time right now.
And now is that a statewide thing or a nationwide?
No, so we're here in Colorado Springs. There is one other company that does something similar, not here. I'm totally blanking where they are, but it's not a very common thing. Obviously, in the military they get trained, but this is more, just even more a step above, like extensive hands-on kind of training overnight. Sometimes we do like a Thursday evening all the way until like Friday late afternoon, almost evening. So that's a long time to be in character and to be doing that. So it's been a great acting challenge and push as well. But we're definitely still trying to grow. But it's here in the Springs. But yeah, it's so rewarding. It's absolutely amazing to be a part of something like that.
Right, something that can change lives in the better, right?
Yeah. Crying uncontrollably, or having to yell at them or be the annoying patient, because sometimes that happens. It's all worth it. We scare or make them angry or make them upset because we care.
Right. Well, being in the Springs, what are some like locations that you think people should check out if they're traveling or if they're in Colorado but just don't visit the Springs often? What are some like hidden gems?
So I would say something that's not one of the biggest, most popular touristy kind of things. There's a place further out east in Calhan called the Painted Mines. It's not anything huge. It's just a park essentially that you can walk through, but just the land formations out there and the colors in the formations are really cool to look at. It's just something unique that you don't get to see very often. So I say that that's one I know it's kind of around, like some people are aware of it, but it's not like the top go-to a lot of the times when people come visit. So if they've done some of the iconic things like, Garden of the Gods, obviously, or Pikes Peak, things like that, then I think that definitely should be a strong contender. It is kind of far depending where you're staying, but it's cool. It's something you don't get to see very often.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to go check it out. We were actually just in Garden of the Gods
Yeah.
last Friday.
I mean, you have to. You totally
Right.
have to. It's iconic. If you're here, you have to go see it at some point.
Yeah, no, we were stuck between filming at one of two locations, and because of everything going up in Aurora last week, and we're like, let's just go down to Garden of the Gods. There's some urban legend stuff we can film. And speaking of urban legends, is there any like Colorado urban legends that you'd like to see incorporated maybe in future Ghostbusters sequels?
Ooh. I don't think it would be the worst idea to add some of Manitou's stuff in there. Manitou has a ton. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I even am up to date on all of it because there's so much. There's so much that they say goes on and happens in Manitou. Um, but I could fully believe that there is some stuff. So I think Manitou could be kind of an interesting thing that we could either like subtly slip in there or kind of make a piece of its own about it. I mean, yeah, they have like coffin races in Manitou is a continuous thing all the time, and um, there's a lot of folklore about witches, and so I think there's a lot of different options to tap into there that would be kind of interesting, I think, to play with.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Emma Crawford coffin races, I think, would make a fun little set piece. It's the Halloween anyways, but like set up a ghost around her or something. That'd be kind of fun.
Right. I would end up like putting Bix in one of the coffins or something is what would happen. Like he would be just like rolling down the hill like by himself, and we would be like, uh-oh. Oh well, someone's gotta go get him. That's what I
Yeah,
foresee happening with that.
it would be like the only way to capture the ghost. You're like, no, but you got to get in the coffin. It's the only way.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, yeah. And be like, the ghost she just really relates to guys more. So you have to do it. You have to get in there. I'll just make her mad or scare her off or something. But like your charm, you have to get in there and
Right.
win her over. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit more about Bixby as far as like how he was as far as like pushing for the movie and his ideas and stuff like that.
He he amazes me, honestly. He was able to make it so clear to everybody like what the goal was, what the passion was, like where this whole thing came about, why they wanted to do it a certain way. But he was able to do that so effortlessly and so real. Like he just, I don't know, it felt like we were all on the same level. It felt like we were all on the same page. Like it never felt like, I'm better than you guys or I have all this power or, anything like that. Like he was just so easy to work with, relate to, like connect with. But I think having that trust and that relationship and foundation with everybody just made it so much easier for everyone to be like, I mean, we want this to do well for sure, but we want this to do well for him also. Just because he's such an amazing, genuine guy that he just made it very, very easy to be like, okay, yeah, like let's go do this, or like, okay, that didn't work out. We get it. Things don't happen exactly as we predict sometimes, but he was always so open with the flow of, okay, let's just try something else, or I don't know, like what do you guys think, what do you think we should try instead? So it was just amazing, honestly.
Oh, you love to hear it though. It's always a good thing to hear, just the collaboration. And again, going back to kind of the family unit. So he has
Yeah,
a pretty big passion though for Ghostbusters, right?
he does. He
Yeah.
definitely does. That
So,
was
if
a
you had
little
any questions, like
intimidating.
you could go straight to him, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, honestly, it was a little intimidating at first because they both were like I said, experts, and they were on this whole other level, and they would just be talking about all these details of like when they made the first Ghostbusters. Like, did you know when they were making it that this and this happened? And I was like, no. I was like, but I'm happy to hear about it, and it definitely was really cool to learn more. But I was like, oh my gosh, I hope that's. I honestly was a little nervous in the audition that was going to be a part of it. Um, was if you knew all the specific details of everything, because I was like, I don't know the details. I know the movie, but like I can't tell you all that kind of stuff that they know. So at first I was like, oh, they're gonna be like, what is she here for?
Right. Yeah, no, it's been fun talking to everyone because you can see all the passion you guys had for the film and still have for it. And it's super exciting to see something come together. I mean, it's a feature-length film
Yeah.
that you guys like spearheaded and promoted, and it came out fantastic. I'm
Oh,
sure
thank
if
you.
you've seen from the review, like we loved it, and But do you have like a favorite scene? Like, what's your favorite scene when you watch it? What do you love or anticipate the most rewatching?
I feel like that's a good question, but it's also a trap question at the same time. Because there's favorite scenes for different reasons, obviously. Um, this is just purely selfish, but one of my absolute favorites is the training montage section. Um, when it's just us three like training at the park. That I think that's by far one of my favorite pieces. Just because again, like that whole thing was pretty much improv. Like we had a general idea of like little bits here and there, like tiny elements that we wanted in it. But as far as like specifically what we were going to do and lines and everything like that was just 100%. My Southern came out. Sorry, my dad's side of the family is very Southern. It was just 100% organic, and yeah, just us being in that moment, and going through it together, and kind of exploring the characters too in that moment, like him pulling out the ladder and making him fall on the ground. Like again, not a part of it. Like he just was in character and in the moment, and I think it opened Jazz up a little bit too because I broke and started laughing, and I love that got to stay to show a little bit of that side of her, because I think that there could have been a little bit more of that from her, but she just wasn't at the point to be there. But yeah, that montage was just all us creating it in that moment together, and so it was just so much fun. It was so silly. So silly. The kids that ended up being there, like towards the end when we were filming it, just thought it was hilarious. Um, yeah, so I think that's by far one of my favorites because it just became its own thing.
Right. No, that's fun to like see little pieces of acting that wasn't acting, like you said, with the laughing. We've seen it in other ones where we're like, I'm pretty sure that was real, Like you can, it's just so fun.
Like at the end of that montage when he's doing the one pull up, and then he gets down and he runs away. Um, and then everyone's like, or he goes away and he throws up. And I was like, I did that. And I'm like, what's up with you guys throwing up all the time? Like none of that's scripted. Like, just, and so it was fun having other like improv actors to just play off of. And I think that montage really lent itself to that because it wasn't scripted at all. So we just got to play off of each other. So it just made it fun.
No, you could tell you guys were having fun and enjoying being there. Like it comes through like as audience members when we're watching something, you can tell if people are actually enjoying being part of it. And you guys definitely it seemed like it were.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't think there was ever a time that I didn't. Obviously, there's scenes that are more serious, like when Bix is getting in trouble by me at the end when we're on the mission, and I'm like, stop messing around and like take it seriously. um, Even those scenes, like when they were serious and we had something more intense and more of that kind of real moment. Um, Even those like were still so much fun. Like just yeah, just being together, just it was such an amazing group of cast, crew, people that were so dedicated to make this thing happen and be what it is.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And again, you guys did a fantastic job.
Well,
Like
thank
we
you.
have enjoyed it. I've showed so many people it. So our buddy Alex we showed because he's originally from Georgia, but he's a huge Ghostbusters fan. And he enjoyed it. We were showing him different scenes and stuff like that. But like so outside of Ghostbusters and the future sequels, like what are you hoping for your acting career? Like are you auditioning still for more roles? Like have you auditioned recently? Do we have projects we should be on the lookout for?
Um, yes and no. I'm still doing some auditions. I actually just did a commercial not that long ago for a company called Reclaiming Hope. and they provide resources to survivors of sex trafficking. So some heavy stuff, but just did a commercial for them, and so that was really cool to again be able to do anything to help. So I'm trying to still stay in the film world. Honestly, it's a little slow right now. There's a lot of people that look like me and in my age, and so it's a little slow on the film side. But right now I'm really using my acting for like the anyone not ready job that I'm doing, because like I said, it's such rewarding acting work to get to do that. So that's kind of where things are right now, but definitely very interested and for sure into doing more of Ghostbusters, or honestly, or anything with any of them. Like I would easily and happily work with them. Yeah, as much as possible, honestly.
No, it definitely sounds like you'll be back for Ghostbusters. I've from the channel we've talked to people, so it seems like the stuff's in the works. I don't want to say too much, I suppose. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys do because I think it's gonna be really, really cool. And hey, we'll be there. We didn't know, unfortunately, about the Ghostbusters stuff, obviously, till the year after, or else we would have been down there for you guys. But
Hey,
it's
that's
so
okay.
so
You're here
cool.
now and you're doing a lot. Like you guys are doing a lot. We really appreciate you and everything that you're doing for us, helping spread the word and, yeah, do these kind of things. Like it's huge.
Well, I was telling Aaron when we were down in Roswell, you guys should do something like because they do little film festivals during the
Yeah.
festival, the Roswell UFO Festival, I should say. But I was like, if you guys did something around then about aliens or something, you guys would win, like hands down. Like I bet it.
Mm.
I think it'd be a fun way. Cause like I don't know what it is too. Ghostbusters was like the biggest thing in Roswell. And you think it'd be like aliens or Star Wars, Star Trek. It was like Ghostbusters and then Doctor Who.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a really good idea, actually. Yeah. What did Aaron say? Or maybe we'll need to talk about that later. But I like that. I like that idea. I would be game.
Right. Yeah, I keep passing off ideas. I'm like, hey, there's the UFO watchtower with Snippy. You could have like a ghost horse running around. Like that'd be kind of cool. I don't
I
know.
love
Just like
that.
cool and crazy ideas.
I love that. Biggs would try to go ride the horse somehow. I could
Right.
just foresee,
Well,
or jokingly say that he's going to, and then totally miss. Like, yeah, I love that idea.
see that even if it's just a montage, you could have a montage of him like riding down the coffin, then riding on the
Uh,
horse.
trying to ride on this horse.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's so many things that we could do to mess with Biggs, just because his character just lends itself to that. Like, yeah, there's a lot of times we didn't really have to do much. You can just let him do his own thing. I mean, but same with Adam too. Like his character, oh my gosh, his little liners, or like little facial expressions that he makes just kills me. I think in addition to the training montage part, one of my favorite parts that I will truly never forget for the rest of my life is when he's working on the proton pack in the chair, and he like for whatever reason decides to like lick it, and he shocks himself. Oh my gosh. I I am very proud of the fact that normally I'm very good at holding it together, and it usually takes a lot to really break me if I'm really focusing. Um, and we could not keep it together for that. Like we were laughing so hard, we were crying, we had to do it so many times, and they finally were like, okay, like we can't do this group shot that we want um, of this moment because you guys can't keep it together. Um, so they're like, we're just going to do it in twos. Like, we'll just do over the shoulder. So just you two have to like keep it together for a minute, and then we'll do the other side. And oh my gosh, we struggled so hard. His timing, he's just comedically a genius. And um, yeah, just like, again, not scripted, just him doing his own thing. And him dragging out the chair after that, like you can just hear it drag away, and then there's a pause, and then another little scoot. Like we just lost it. And so being around that kind of thing and seeing that and getting to incorporate that and work with that, just yeah, just added so much more to everything, I think, honestly.
Well, and see, that's almost like the hardest thing about a comedy. Not only do the jokes have to land for the audience, but you can't laugh at them while you're acting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, normally I'm really good. Normally it takes a lot, but yeah, just that bit, especially, not a single one of us could keep it together. Even the crew was struggling. Like we had to send some people out because everyone was laughing so hard. And yeah, it just, I'll never forget it.
Yeah, no, there's quite a bit of parts in there we were laughing. And before we end off though, we gotta know, will the weed ghost be back?
Gosh, I sure hope so. I
It's
hope
gotta be
it.
like your guys' Slimer or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I randomly said this. I don't remember one of the days when we were talking about that. I would love to see Weed Ghost have like a girlfriend, or have a partner or something, because I could easily foresee like them doing a cat and mouse kind of thing, or like a setup, like have one of them be like, I'm right here, and then the other one like messing while we're trying to get that one. Like, I don't know. I think that would be really, I think that would be really funny to have a duo of the weed ghosts, causing chaos and trouble. And selfishly, I think it would be really funny if Jazz got hit by that. Because I mean, Bix is already silly, and I mean, obviously, it just made him even sillier. But I think there's space for like, if Jazz got hit by the weed ghost, for who knows, like what's gonna come out of her mouth if she's high. Like, we just don't see that side of her necessarily. So I think it could set up something really funny, to see what she's like in comparison to her normal self.
Well, here's kind of a fun one, kind of going off that. How would you go about acting if you were like, say, there's a scene upcoming where Jazz got possessed? Because then you're acting as someone else, acting as Jazz. Like, how
Mm.
would you go about that?
This might kind of sound backwards. I would honestly try to act like I wasn't possessed. Um, I don't know if that makes a ton of sense, but I think something I can compare it to is like, if you're playing drunk, if you're actually playing drunk, I don't think it comes across right and it doesn't hit well. A lot of people, when they're drunk, are trying to hide being drunk. So they're trying to be as normal as possible, but you just have the, little stuff that comes out. um, Same thing, like I did a film years ago called Z-Rex or Zombiesaurus, depending where you get it from.
Well,
And
see,
my
it sounds like the
character,
perfect film for us to review now on the channel.
you should. It's it's something else, but no, it's good. It's just, yeah, just very different. So I'm the blonde, and I'm the dumb blonde cheerleader in, pink, and like just your stereotypical dumb blonde cheerleader. And so in the audition, it was that same kind of thing. They were like, hey, she's not the smartest, but blah 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 blah. So when I auditioned, I played her as really smart to me. Like, I did something really really dumb. Like I suggested we use a rock to break something that was like, a rock's not going to do anything. But in my mind, she thinks it's a great idea. Like, and why wouldn't that work? So, so I played it kind of opposite, if that makes sense. And so I think I would do the same thing. Like I would, if I was possessed, um, but still Jazz, I would still focus more on who Jazz is, and trying to control that possessed piece within me. I don't know if that made any sense or if that was just a lot of gibberish, but
No, it made sense. I saw where you were going.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that would be my thought. Yeah, on that. Unless it's the weed ghost, obviously, because then that's a totally different kind of possession than like
Right.
Tuttle.
We'll see. Now we have a new film we got to go watch and review because like dinosaurs are in our top three for most watched topics. So
Oh, are they? Oh, yeah. So
yeah,
you have to. But I mean, but yeah, just give it grace. Again, it was another local thing. Um, yeah, it's funny. I have a very obvious blonde wig, and when they made the sequel, myself and the girl that plays my sister both came back as like a quick little like cameo appearance kind of thing. And in the sequel, I wear a hat, like a winter hat that has a little pom pom on top. So I wear the hat on top of the wig, and all of us were like, "Oh my gosh, the wig looks a million times better. It actually looks like realistic." And I was like, "How did we go the whole year and a half making this film and none of us thought of hat? Like we could have just put."
right,
I could have just been wearing a hat, and that would have made the wig more realistic. But it is what it is.
right.
It's funny. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting idea. There's a team of commandos that are sent out to go eliminate the problem of the zombie dinosaur that this mad scientist created. And then there's a team of millennials that were going camping and everything, we got lost and everything went wrong and we all end up at the facility together. So seeing that mix of like the millennials and then these big tough guys is interesting. And they got some big people in there. A guy named Andy Hammond, who unfortunately is no longer with us, was in it. They got Raquel Pennington from the UFC. She's in it. She doesn't say a whole lot. Acting's not her. She was like, I'm here to do what you need, but like, I mean, she was willing to jump in, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it was just very interesting to have like these very tough, huge, big name people, and then like us little Colorado Springs actors, all together in this facility trying to find a dinosaur. So it's quite interesting.
Hey, no, it sounds fun. We watched a ton of different films, so I am totally on board for that. Because we were just in New Mexico, helping with a project to put up a historical marker,
Ooh, okay.
and we had downtime at the hotel, and one of the films we watched was Sharks of the Corn, and it is terrible, but it's one of those like so terrible you're like it's kind of fun, like
See, that's the correct mindset is, you know, the films that are supposed to be so kind of bad and silly that they're good. Um, yeah,
yeah.
that's the mindset to go in with.
Well, like, have you ever seen like Tammy and the T-Rex?
No,
It's
mm-mm.
like Denise Richards and Paul Walker's like first film.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm actually gonna have to look that up. Tammy
it's
T-Rex.
yeah, Tammy and the T-Rex. It's one of those that are it's very a silly film. Like sometimes I'm like, why am I watching this? But it's so so weird
Yeah.
and kooky, and they only filmed it because they were friends with this like theme park guy, and he didn't have to put in the animatronic T-Rex for like a week. So he was like, "Do you want to film a movie?" And they filmed a movie about it.
That is so cool, actually. I love that. How
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Dang,
no,
that's cool.
uh,
Tammy and the T-Rex. I'm gonna have to look that up.
yeah. We'll have to have you on. We do some deep dives. I know we had Nolan on for The Crow. We had him come on
Oh,
for The Crow, so
oh, that's
we'll have to
cool.
have you on for like a movie or something like that.
Yeah, that
And
would be fun.
yeah, no, it's been great talking with you, and we'll definitely have to do it again, especially when more Ghostbusters stuff comes out. But for anyone that's watching or listening, where can they find more about you and more about the Ghostbusters film?
Um, you know, good old IMDb. It's my maiden name on there, so I'm under Nicole Goeke, so it's Goeke. That's where all my credits are, so it's just easier to keep it keep it all. So I'm on there and in Facebook and Instagram and stuff. And obviously the film, like Facebook, YouTube, we were finally able to get it on YouTube, which is huge. I think that helped a lot because we had a lot of people that weren't, I don't know, weren't really a fan of trying the separate random other, site or source that they hadn't really used before and weren't comfortable with. And I feel like YouTube is so huge and well known. So being able to actually get on there is amazing and has been really helpful. So that helps. Yeah, sharing it. Obviously, Ghostbuster like community pages and things like that. We definitely try to stay a part of and put our presence in there. And Aaron in Texas is super helpful.
Yeah.
So just random little oddities of places, but yeah.
No, that's great. And thank you again for joining. This has been really fun. And like I said, we'll definitely have to do it again.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Like I said, I think it'd be really funny to have Bix and I together for one, just because it's just funny. I think it'd be interesting to have that ebb and flow on there too.
Right. It'd be fun too to like have the cast, as much of the cast as we could get together, sit down and like break down the movie and like why certain things happen that way.
I would love that. That would be so cool. I would be so in. Yeah, because like I said, there's a lot of moments that they just happen, like not at all in the script, like they just happened organically from something, like me slapping him all the time. Like I said, I did it once and everybody was like, yeah, just do that whenever you want. So I was like,
Right.
okay.
We'll see. Now we're gonna have to try that drinking game as well, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime she makes a comment about him being ridiculous or slaps him or really just makes like a sarcastic smart ass comment to him or about him, like it'll get you there.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us. This has been a blast.
Oh, it's been so much fun. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And thank you so much for, like I said, for your support and for doing all this and talking to everybody. Like it's so cool to see that there's people outside of our own crew and stuff that are so passionate and have just as much, if not more, heart in this too. So thank you for all that. It's awesome.
Hey, you guys are welcome. We'll always be happy to share your guys' stuff. I've tried as much as we can and anywhere we go. So.
Awesome.
So, once again, we want to say thank you to Nicole for joining us on this excellent interview and discussing, Ghostbusters Open for Business, a little bit about how it is to be an actor, some of her other side projects, and some cool sites to check out within Colorado. And hey, make sure to go check out Ghostbusters Open for Business as well as her IMDb page to make sure you can go help support her and the Ghostbusters fan film itself. And hey, we will be doing a review for that dinosaur film. But until next time, guys, for more Culz interviews, click that link to your left. For more about us here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know, for a possible sequel for Open for Business, what would you like to see happen? Tell us in the comments below.